It's time for the Tech Informist. This episode of the Tech Informist was recorded on Friday, February 20th, 2015. If this is your first time listening or watching the Tech Informist, you might be wondering just what is the Tech Informist? The Tech Informist is a show intended to help inform and educate listeners such as yourself about the latest news we find interesting in the world of technology, with lively and entertaining commentary about the latest tech news. From time to time, we will also be joined by guests you likely already know from the tech world, such as Daniel Rubino and Richard Devine from Windows Central, Phil Nickinson, Jerry Hildenbrand, and Russell Holly from Android Central. People like that will join us to talk about their lives and perspective from what they see going on in their respective jobs. My name is Kevin Harvell, and I'm also joined by JJ Hammond. JJ, how you doing over there today?
I'm rolling.
He's rolling, everybody. Rolling.
Why, Kate?
Yeah.
You're not wearing a bustle. How, dude?
Oh, here we bringing it full-fledged today on this Friday episode. People, get involved with the show. You can watch live, get upcoming schedules, and participate in our live chat room, as many people already are doing so today, by visiting thetechinformist.com/live. You can also email us feedback, comments, suggestions, whether it's an app that you would like us to talk about, maybe pick our app, or music suggestions, TV, music, movies, whatever. Just email that to contact@thetechinformist.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, Instagram. Simply search The Tech Informist or Tech Informist, and you will be able to find us. Please leave us reviews at iTunes, Stitcher Radio. It helps other people find the show. Spread the word. Talk about us on Reddit. On just any platform you can think of. Tell your friends. Spread the word. Say, have you ever listened to podcasts before? Pull them up and say, hey, listen to this show right here. So it's time to move into the news of the day. I will kick things off with a story about YouTube unveiling a new app for kids. Now, this came out yesterday, and this is actually from the usatoday.com website that says YouTube is a repository of clips that range from exceedingly educational to suggestively explicit. So to make sure that younger fans of Google's online video library have a more age-appropriate experience, its engineers have come up with a new app called YouTube Kids. Pretty simple name there. The free app is expected to launch on February 23rd, and at present is going to be available for Android devices only. Months in the making, YouTube Kids was the byproduct of input from in-house engineers with parenting credentials, as well as third-party testers from organizations such as Common Sense Media. The result is a simple-to-use interface that rids the screen of distracting elements such as viewer comments while offering unique features such as a parent controller timer that shuts down the app after a set amount of time. Interesting. So just one last thing. If a child deliberately or inadvertently types in a word such as sex, the screen pops up with a try something else message. So,
Mom, I accidentally typed in sex.
Yeah. So what is this going to do for, like, Miley Cyrus videos and stuff like that? Is it going to, you can't watch those kinds of videos or anything like that? Cause
they'll have to type in Miley Cyrus version 1.
Yes. You have to type in Hannah Montana.
Yeah. Version 1, and then version 2 you'll obviously.
I mean, it's funny. I mean, I've shown you screenshots of, if you just log in and you see the Hardee's Carl Jr.'s commercial pictures, and it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, what was it after? Okay, so we do have women listeners to this, so I'm not trying to say anything here, but as far as Kevin shared this Carl Jr. commercial, and it was hilarious. It was just funny, right? Ever since then, as soon as I go to YouTube, it's just like Carl. It's like swimsuit model. I think Kate Upton was on there. I think a couple other things, and I'm just like, good lord, child. It's like this isn't. So it's got it's got like a tech news story, and then the rest of it is just filled with nothing but like crazy swimsuity type of thing going down. And there was one that popped up. I want to say it had like tattoos, like suicide girls. I think it's what it was called. And I was like, what the hell is this? You know? So I don't know. Anyways, but thanks, Kevin. You kind of ruined the YouTube experience for me. But speaking on this in particular, I think this is great. I think that YouTube is a monstrosity that is both awesome in so many different ways. I mean, Kevin and I both just, I mean, cannot explain how great YouTube has been just for us, for finding out information from the insane to the helpful to the not helpful to the whatever. And it's just really great. I read a lot of news stories, and I'm not going to go off on a tangent or anything, but I read a lot of news stories, and one of them has been lately about this whole ISIS stuff and ISIL and all that, and about how all these other videos go up that aren't so awesome, right? That are hateful and that are very dangerous, I think. And it's interesting to me that YouTube is so big that there are these types of things out there. So it makes sense that YouTube is trying, or Google, the proper, is trying to figure out a way to keep some of that stuff away from the youth and from getting too far. I think that it's a good move, and I'm not big. I'm big on free speech, but I'm not big on allowing such a big place for a whole bunch of people to go to that's ubiquitous, that they could find the sort of hate speech that they want to find. So that's really good on them for weeding that stuff out. What do you have to say about that?
Oh, I completely agree. I think it's really good that YouTube is doing this, and I mean, because it's easy to get lost in YouTube,
Right.
and you can just sit there and spend hours just hopping from one video to the next, and so and it's good. I like the whole idea of the timer and stuff like that, because give a kid a tablet and they can be on it from the time they wake up till the time they go to bed, and
All right.
in the middle in between using it while they're going to the bathroom, it can be terrible, and you don't want to let kids get addicted to that.
Holy cow, Kevin! They're listening to us.
That's what I've heard. Tell us
So
more.
they're listening to us. The U.S. and the U.K. intelligence agencies have hacked SIM card manufacturer. So this is interesting, and it brings up a whole list of stuff that if you pay attention to the tech industry, right now there is a lot of reporting being done, and rightfully so, on this on these issues. Toshiba was a big one that was recently. It's not in our show notes, but I'll just say it real quick. But Toshiba and Seagate had pre-installed NSA software on it. I mean, that's just crazy talk, right? Spies from the National Security Agency and its British counterpart, the Government Communications Headquarters, jointly hacked the internal networks of a major SIM card manufacturer, stealing encryption keys it used to protect the privacy of communications. The Intercept reported Thursday, referring to documents provided by NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden. The SIM card manufacturer Gemalto, that's how I'm just going to say it, is a multinational firm incorporated in the Netherlands. It serves about 450 wireless service providers, including Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile. In 85 countries. The company has no idea its systems had been compromised, The Intercept said. Well, I don't know how much of that is true, but the most important thing to understand that what was done so we can take every measure to ensure that it doesn't happen again, says their vice president. Also, there was some more talk about the security breach allows intelligence. Stupid pop-ups. Security breach allows intelligence agencies to spy on mobile communications, both domestic and foreign, without traditional means of snooping, such as wiretapping or seeking approval from telecommunication companies or the courts. It's a pretty big deal. So there's some more stuff here, but basically the people in charge of this stuff in the ACLU says we need to stop assuming that phone companies will provide us with a secure method of making calls or exchanging text messages. Now, again, on the one hand, you've got people who are like, don't step on my civil liberties, and on the other hand, there are some tangible cases where interception of these communications has led to arrests and subsequent prosecutions of people who want to do unspeakable horrors in our society. So I don't know. It's a tough subject, honestly, and the different. I respect everybody's point of view, definitely, but I don't think that the NSA going about it this route is the right way to go. I think that we have courts for a reason, and we need to do it that way. Well, Kevin, what do you have to say about this?
My thoughts on this is I would love to have a story where we don't have to worry about talking about somebody's privacy being violated or something being hacked and stuff like
Sure.
that, because like
Sure.
every episode we've got stories that have to talk about this stuff. I don't know. This is like it's kind of getting old, and we've got another story, a little bit later
Hmm.
down the list here
We're gonna
to
go
touch
up.
on.
We're gonna go down. We're gonna go up. We're gonna go down.
Yeah. So
Well,
now
let's talk
it's
about the
time
next
to
one. Yeah,
go back up.
that's right.
Now, speaking of up, many people remember if you've listened to prior shows, you've heard me talk about Quiz Up. It's one of my favorite trivia games. It's available on Android and iOS currently, but it is now officially headed to Windows and Windows Phone. And we've kind of known about this for some time because we've known and we've actually had lunch and had the developer or one of the developers who heads the development company, Gateway Apps. Now, his name is Daniel Gary, and he is a big Windows Phone proponent and developer. So, yesterday, Plain Vanilla Incorporated and Gateway Apps LLC have announced plans to bring QuizUp to Windows and Windows Phone as a universal app. The release will be timed with an expected major update to QuizUp for Android and iOS due sometime this year. So, really, really looking forward to this. Daniel, if you're listening, I know I've already asked on Twitter. I would love to have a beta of this just to try out.
Mhm.
One of the cool things about this is that it's going to be, they're working on making it cross-platform where if you're playing QuizUp, you can play with your friends on Android and iOS. I think that's part of one of the big updates that'll be coming to the other two platforms as well. And it's free. It's so really, really excited. Congratulations. I know it's been in the works for a long time with Daniel, and I mean he's been over, gosh, where was it, like Greenland or wherever the main focus of where QuizUp is based out of. And he was over there for a while doing some work, and glad to see it finally coming to light.
I can't wait, man. I mean, I've been promoting Trivia Hack. Crack. Oh my God, Trivia Crack. I've been promoting that because it's cross-platform and because it's just a lot of fun. And I think QuizUp when you and I played, Kevin, was a lot of fun too. So,
Like I said, I'm a big QuizUp user, so I love it. I prefer it to Trivia Crack myself.
yep, totally. I'm excited and I can't wait to have Daniel back on. He'll come back on the show for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so time to go back down. Companies must see cyber attacks as inevitable. The reason why I'm going to bring this back up again is on the cyber war front, most companies have to build in that into the price of doing business. I mean, we as users have to just keep hammering these companies like AT&T and Verizon and everybody, and our laptop manufacturers, Apple, Samsung, Google, everything. We need to keep banging this out, man, because a top executive from the firm, from Sony, Kaspersky, everybody saying that about $1 billion happened from the last cyber heist. And Kaspersky Labs, a security company, revealed on Monday that up to 100 banks and financial institutions in 30 different countries. By the way, all right, I'm a Windows Phone user. I've always said that. And one of the frustrating things is when people are like, you know what, I can't use banking on my phone. And I'm like, how freaking secure is that, by the way? For the most part, right? And that's the reason why people don't come over to Windows Phone, because there's not, a plethora of those sorts of things. But I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I would love to hear you guys' feedback, and I'm not trying to beat anybody up for the way they use their devices. Honestly, I just want to know why banking is so important to to be done kind of like on a mobile. Mobile operating systems are not super secure. I mean, let alone regular operating systems. You know what I mean? But when you got those third-party apps, and you're giving them your information, um, you have to trust those third parties to not give away that information, right? So if you use the same password, for example, as one account on some quiz up or trivia or Facebook or whatever, these companies they get hacked, and then they use that same password and username and all that stuff to see if they can get into your other applications and your bank accounts and stuff, right? So that's weird to me, right? So over these 100 banks and financial institutions in 30 countries, including Russia, France, Germany, Spain, Poland, it doesn't matter. The gang responsible, dubbed Karbanak, and comprising of members from Russia, China, and Ukraine, is believed to have been taking up to $10 million at a time, roughly $10 million at a time, from banks over periods of 2 to 4 months since 2013, using various techniques, including spear phishing, if we did not need another word for phishing software, the sending of malware-infected emails to individual employees, and so on, and so on, and so on. So this brings up again this other thing. Use feedback to and use smarts when you're using your stuff. And remember, not a lot of people know this, but your third-party apps store that data not just locally on the device, but they store it in their own whatever servers. Their servers could literally be in their basement, people.
Right.
So it's possible that if they're hacked, all that stuff is out there. So that's just what I wanted to. It's kind of like a PSA, right? A public service announcement.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, with like mobile banking and stuff like that, I want to be able to check my account balance without having to run to an ATM and do the account balance and stuff like that. Or I want to be able to quickly transfer funds from a savings to a checking account, for example. That's really the two main things that I can kind of think of wanting to do with a mobile banking app. But if it's not an actual app from the bank themselves, you hope that the bank has used a reputable development company to create that app.
Right. And it's on you to, not you, but our listeners and everybody else. It's on them to
Police
find out.
themselves.
Yeah, no, just to find out who and how and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
Right.
for people who are listening to this show who give a crap about technology, I think that you owe it to yourself to find those things out. Kevin, bring us into the next one.
All right. So Lenovo recently was
Oh,
caught
yay.
installing.
We're still in the bottom. Still in the bottom.
They were recently caught installing adware on new computers. Now, again, we're back to these fish names. The adware named Superfish is reportedly installed on a number of Lenovo's consumer laptops right out of the box. The software injects third-party ads on Google searches and websites without the user's permission. Superfish appears to affect Internet Explorer and Google Chrome on these Lenovo computers. Lenovo Community Administrator Mark Hopkins wrote in late January that the software would be temporarily removed from current systems after irate users complained of pop-ups and other unwanted behavior. Hopkins defended the adware, saying that it helps users find and discover products visually and instantly analyzes images on the web and presents identical and similar product offers that may have lower prices. And he also says that users can refuse the terms and conditions when setting up their laptop, which means the software will be disabled. But it doesn't sound that straightforward, however, as Mike Shaver on Twitter, Twitter handle is @Shaver, SHAVER, said on the 18th that Lenovo installs an MITM cert and proxy called Superfish on new laptops so it can inject ads, ? Somebody tell me that's not the world that I'm in.
Yeah, that's funny.
So Lenovo has, there's a link that hopefully will be in this article that I will share that, you can kind of run to see if you have a Lenovo laptop, if you are affected. I ran it on a Lenovo laptop that I've got, but I'm not using the factory image. I always They say, you know, because I don't want all this bloatware that Lenovo throws on their machines.
Right.
And it's one thing to just uninstall little software, but I use my own Windows license on my laptops.
Right.
It's because I like clean installs and I want to know exactly what is installed, and I can still get all the Lenovo, you know, firmware and driver updates and stuff like that simply by going to Lenovo's website and downloading them.
It's really frustrating because Lenovo to me for the longest time and is one of the biggest PC makers
I
obviously in the
think they're the
world.
largest,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. So, they're kind of, for better or for worse, a little bit of ambassadors when it comes to PCs. And man, PCs didn't need another hit like this, in my opinion.
No.
Um, the other thing too is how much more now do you want to see like a Surface laptop or something of that nature? Because for better for I mean the Surface Pro line has been just gorgeous, right? It doesn't come with bloatware, it doesn't come with crapware, it doesn't come with whateverware, right? Like the signature editions of these PCs and stuff. I'm looking over my Sony Vaio right now. It's a beautiful laptop, beautiful. But Sony's got so much stuff on here, you know?
Mhm.
And how much of that stuff has security holes, right? It's just, anyways. So moving on, if that's okay with you, Kevin.
My pleasure.
Farmers are getting in on the ground floor of the drone action. I personally purchased a drone for my dad's birthday, and honestly, I don't want to hand it over to him now. It's a totally kick butt awesome. That's my own little tangent, but back to my regular story. So this comes to us via Popular Science, which I'm a huge fan of. Farmers eye drones for the future. Even though humans have been farming for thousands of years, there's always a new trick to learn or a new technology to try. In modern times, these tricks often come attached to small flying aircraft, a fact evidenced by the continued and growing presence of drones at agricultural expositions. Successful drone use might lead to better yields in the future. With an emphasis on the future, while the FFA just proposed new drone rules, it'll be likely take about 18 months to 2 years before they come into effect. That's 18 months until farmers can fly drones in a legally ambiguous way. Here's what drones promise: cheap aerial photography with regular and infrared cameras combined with programs that stitch together and analyze the photos to give farmers information that was previously unattainable or too costly. A vineyard in California used a drone to photograph to find that a section of the vines that was ripened sooner than expected, prompting an early harvest of that area. Last year, the U.S. Department of Agriculture looked into testing a drone for farming purposes. Drones can do more for farming than just photograph crops, obviously. Sugar alternative giant Steva considered flying drones with lights over their crops at night to spur extra growth. That's interesting. And a student contest in Maryland last summer considered drones designs to protect corn from insect predators, including a design that landed on a corn stalk and picked grubs off of it with mechanical arms, which totally freaks me out, but it's so awesome in another way. The FAA proposed rules offer some promise of drone farm hands and some limitations, as proposed rules require pilots to fly only with their line of sight, which limits how far the drones can travel. A restriction on night flying would prevent anyone from flying a light shining drones over their crops after dark. Limitations on autonomy or pre-programmed flights also undermine using the drones in a labor-saving way. Until the official rules come out, companies that want to test their crop scanning drones either have to apply for a specific exemption from the FAA, pose as hobbyists, or operate in a legally gray area. Now, I want to say something real fast. The drone that I got from my old man, I don't want to give up, but it comes with a camera that's mounted on the front and already an SD card that's inside of it, and a micro USB to regular USB so that I can download the images that I get from recording the flight. I love, look, South Park did a really good job of a satirical episode where they talked about drones, and they somehow wove in Ferguson into the whole thing. But the basic concept is that people are afraid of these things. I don't think we should be afraid of these things on farms, because, honestly, in reading this story and others like it from the scientific community, I think drones offer a lot to to help the environment and that sort of thing. Kevin, what's your thoughts on drones?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the farming aspect of it with drones, I think it's really neat because I mean, how much faster can farmers check how their crops are looking on a daily or weekly basis? Just spend a few minutes and fly that thing out there. It's a lot faster than going out and walking it or driving around the field and stuff, just seeing how things look. So I think it's kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, and dude, I'm telling you, if I brought this over to your house, you'd be like, JJ, dude, we need to get one of these just 'cause.
Yeah, just 'cause.
Yeah, it's really neat. They're really cool. All right, you're up.
All right, so BlackBerry is waging a legal.
Who?
Yeah, I know BlackBerry. Remember the little physical keyboard, click, click, click. BlackBerry wages a legal war against Ryan Seacrest's Typo 2 iPhone keyboard. Now, they always mention Ryan Seacrest because obviously he's a popular name, celebrities, involved in everything American Idol and Top 40 radio, just all that stuff. But he's just a funder. He helps fund this company to make this keyboard attachment for iPhones. And and again, BlackBerry kind of already had an issue with the original Typo keyboard cover for the iPhone back in what was it, 2000? I think it was just last year.
I don't know. I feel like this typo should have been a typo from the get-go. God, what was it, 2 years? Yeah, the last 2 years. It's been going on for 2 years.
Yeah, easy. I got to look at this. Again, Typo was there back at CES in January, and I had a chance to actually, try one of these little keyboards out, and it works good, but it looks just like a BlackBerry keyboard. People that remember the BlackBerry Curve or the BlackBerry Bold, that's pretty much what this thing is. So, let's see, what is it? I mean, it's a custom case that provides a physical keyboard underneath touchscreens for the iPhone 5, 5S, and iPhone 6 and 6 Plus models. The Typo already was forced to pay $860,000 in penalties, in addition to attorney's fees and court costs related to the original Typo legal case. And Typo officials said that matter doesn't have influence on the Typo 2 product release.
Whatever. Yeah. I'm so sick of hearing about this typo. But I do want to speak a little bit on BlackBerry. So I don't know if you saw this story. I'm sure you did, and whatnot. But BlackBerry now allows for the Amazon App Store to be and Amazon apps to run on their BlackBerry devices. Did you know that?
Right. Which is the Android version.
Right.
Yeah. So you
of
can.
The Amazon App Store.
Yeah. I mean, it's been kind of known that you can sideload some Android apps and they'll work. Some will. Some won't.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's one way to get more apps on your BlackBerry devices. So if you're one of our listeners that use a BlackBerry, that you probably already know about this. But if not, now you do.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's interesting to me because watching BlackBerry do this and what has happened to BlackBerry over the course of time, we can see the possibility of running, Android applications on, say, a Windows machine, right? Mm-hmm. Like maybe what that might look like instead of having a Android App Store per se be the driving force, right? There being some type of onboard virtual machine that it runs in or whatever, that we were talking about that before. Obviously, BlackBerry, it's a tough thing for them, and I honestly think they should have sold while the selling was good. When I don't know, they should have sold out to Samsung. That would have been a good move because Samsung's been trying to really keep that business market because you see a lot of business people with Samsung Notes,
Right.
So I think that that would have been a good buy for the patents and different stuff like that. So my next story is just a little interesting, just kind of a little side note, because healthcare is kind of like a big passion and hobby of mine. Why emerging economies should ignore Western healthcare models. You guys can see this in our show notes. There is a giant spider made out of gold in Qatar where this event was held. I just want to talk about how weird that is real fast. And then also, it was really interesting. The dark side of all of this is it's horribly painful, and you're talking about people's livelihoods, and it's scary. But the profit motive should be taken out of healthcare. So this was just an interesting read. I hope more of you will maybe engage in this because I think it's interesting our healthcare problems and all the different recently with healthcare.gov and giving out personal information as well as some of the issues with signing up to get healthcare. I'm kind of curious to see our peeps' feedback on this particular situation. The next thing up that I want to talk about, obviously, I haven't talked about a Windows story yet today, so it's time for me to step up. If you're shopping around for a Windows tablet that can run Windows 10 without a fuss, Windows Central, love those guys over there, have your information ready to go. They say that they're pumped for the upcoming public launch of Windows 10, and many of you guys are eager to try out the technical preview. Anyone on the cusp of picking up a new Windows tablet will no doubt be keeping the Windows 10 experience in mind for them, and they've picked out some options for you. But if you want to know what the minimum requirements are for Windows 10 technical preview, you need to set the bar kind of low, which is good. Processor, 1 gigahertz or faster, 1 gigabyte or 1 gigabyte 32-bit or 2 gigabyte 64-bit. You need about 16 gigabytes of free hard drive space, and the graphics card, you need Microsoft DirectX 9 graphics device with a WDDM driver, a Microsoft account, and internet access. There's a couple of caveats to this, and you can find more on how to install the Windows Technical Preview from WindowsCentral.com in the link. Kevin, you got the Surface Venue 8 Pro on there, the Lenovo ThinkPad 10, Toshiba Encore 2, HP Stream 7, which is like ridiculously cheap, Lenovo Yoga, well, with all of Lenovo's problems, we're probably not going to go out and buy one of those right away. Yoga Tablet 2, your favorite Windows 10 tablet ready, ? Go check it out. It's neat.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to load up a Windows 10 on my Dell Venue and see how that goes. I know I've been kind of waiting for to be able to get that loaded, and now it looks like you can have a better go at it as well.
A better go at it.
And I do have one last thing that I just added to the notes that I'd like to talk about. That, last episode we mentioned that HTC confirms that they're going to reveal the next HTC One, likely called the M9, on March 1st at Mobile World Congress. The HTC US Twitter account tweeted out to expect something big on March 1st, and a lot of people are thinking that maybe HTC is going to follow in the footsteps of Apple and release a regular size, 5.5-inch display, or somewhere around that regular M9, and then maybe a larger M9, similar to like a Note 4, 6-inch display. I think that'd be okay if HTC does something like a 6-inch display. Guess who's probably going to be going that route? This guy.
I don't know if our chat room can tell or not, but you got all Daft Punk on us for a second.
Oh, yeah. Kind of like Max Headroom and all that. Cool.
Yeah. I'm just kind of curious if the chat caught that or not. So
hopefully the audio sounded good, because that's all I'm worried about.
Yeah, no. That's what I'm talking about. You're like, I'm like,
well, I can repeat that whole thing.
No, stop. No, we heard you. So, yeah. So Brad says, yeah, just a bit. Okay, so, but no, it looks like you're good now. Like a little HD symbol at the bottom of the screen. We have both talked about this a lot, and no joke, dude. I mean, I am itching. I mean, my fingers are screaming at me because my phone is cutting up my hands. You know those commercials of the guy who was wearing the Band-Aids on his fingers. I think it was a T-Mobile commercial, right? He was using Band-Aids on his fingers because his screen on his phone was all, yeah. Anyways,
commercial.
Yeah. So I've totally got that. For our viewers, you probably can't see that, but on both my thumbs, dude, they're all jacked. So I'm very much looking forward to a new device, and I really, really like HTC a lot. and I'm really heavily leaning towards them. Obviously, I say that now, but as soon as Microsoft drops their phone, I'm just going to be like, whatever. But it's going to be a tough move, man, if they drop one for the new HTC One running Windows. It's going to be hard for me to turn that down.
I understand. I understand. Let's
But
move
either way, real quick, either way, both Samsung and HTC have to give a compelling reason to use their devices. Don't you feel like it's like they have to give a compelling reason?
to a point. I mean, I think Samsung's going to sell well. I mean, if they're going with the design anywhere near what the Note 4, yeah, for the Galaxy S6, yeah,
Mhm.
that thing will sell like crazy because the build quality of that Note 4 is just phenomenal.
It is really nice. Yeah. All right.
Yes, it is. App and entertainment picks. JJ, kick it off.
Whoop, whoop. Justified, a TV series on Amazon Prime and on FX and on FX Now. This show is in its last and final season. Sad face. The show is like watching a modern Western, and that is fantastic to me. I think it's friggin' hilarious and does a really good job of kind of exploring what it's like to live in a in a holla.
Yeah.
No,
And
um, but
speaking of westerns, and you mentioned Justified, Timothy Olyphant, who plays the lead character on Justified, was in another show back on HBO called Deadwood. So if you have never seen that show, I believe it ran for 3 seasons. Do so. Catch it. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you can watch the instant video. You can watch all of Deadwood. Just stream it and just binge watch it. You will not regret it. Just if you're not somebody that's like bad for wanting to hear a lot of rough language, there's a lot of cursing, a lot of cussing and stuff in there. But Ian McShane as Al Swearingen is one of my favorite characters of all time. He's just hilarious. The show is wonderful. It's very well done. Sad that it had to end the way that it did, but it didn't
right.
end well. I'll go ahead and say that. But
What,
it was
Deadwood didn't?
no, it's a great show. It's because they had to. It didn't get picked back up because it was expensive and to do, and there was all this talk of doing a movie to try to like finish the show, but I don't know. It's sad.
Oh well, now I'm not gonna watch it. I
Oh,
can't. I can't. I
you
can't. I can't
don't
do that.
watch it. Yeah, you can.
I
You
don't
will
know.
not
I don't
regret
know.
watching it
All right.
because it might end well. I mean, I thought it ended well for what they were able to do,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of people were
I just,
disappointed. But
after Lost and after Lost, Dexter, and oh crap, what was the other one? Heroes. I was like, good lord,
yeah,
I never want to
it's
watch another
tough
show
to
again that I think is going to end awful.
it is really difficult to end a show that's going to make people happy and oh yeah, that was a great ending. It's tough to do.
It is tough to do, but you can do it. Battlestar Galactica was awesome. Um, but anyways, I digress. You got an actual music pick.
Yeah, an actual music pick now. I'm a little bit older here than most people. I'm a child of the 70s and 80s, and I love 80s country. Now tonight, I'm getting a chance to go see Ronnie Millsap. People that might be familiar with country at all know Ronnie Millsap. He's kind of a country music legend. He plays piano. He's blind, so
Hmm.
he has actually played piano with Elvis Presley on some of his recordings and stuff like that. So he's been around a long. He's in his 70s. But my dad called yesterday and said, I know you wanted to go see that because whenever for Christmas I got my dad tickets to go see a Johnny Cash tribute called Cashed Out. Because I've heard it's really good, but I had a couple different options of shows that I could pick, and I almost picked this, but I thought my dad would prefer to go see Cashed Out instead. So
Okay,
he was able to get free tickets for this Ronnie Millsap concert. So I'm gonna go check that out tonight, and looking forward to it.
that's cool.
Really, really looking forward to it. Do
That's
you have
really
any
cool.
music picks or anything you'd like to toss in there?
No. I just want to promote the show, the MS Mobile Show. Go
Oh
to
yeah, yeah, wonderful.
msmobileshow.com. For all those in the chat room, thank you for being a part of that. move on over. But I'm just going to promote that because that's not necessarily a music pick, but it's definitely something you can listen to.
Yes, it is.
MS Mobile Show. Go to your favorite podcast app and look for that. It's called MS Mobile Show because we didn't want to get in trouble with legal and licensing fees. So it's the Microsoft Mobile Show where we talk about all things Microsoft Mobile related, cross-platform, so not just Windows, but on iOS, Android, Mac, and everywhere else that you can get Microsoft services. My host there and good friend now, Vernon E.L. Smith, does a phenomenal job. We had an amazing first episode. I mean, regardless of what people, critics, or whatever want to say about it, I thought for a first episode it was gorgeous.
I don't think I've seen anything negative on it yet.
No.
So, I mean, all emails and YouTube comments and Twitter comments have all been
Positive. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, David Winfan Kimball was the first guest, and it was a great talk.
It was a great talk, and he was great. So we're doing it bi-weekly. So go ahead and catch up on the teaser episode, the origin story, and then our very first episode. I think that will get you through until not next week, but the week after when we shoot the other show. So thank you all for listening. Kevin, take us home.
As we mentioned on last episode, we are giving away a Sensi smart thermostat from Emerson Technologies that works with both iOS and Android. For details on this giveaway, please visit thetechinformist.com/giveaway to find out how to enter. We'll probably use Rafflecopter, and so try to make things fair, and you'll get different points for different ways that you can enter. But one of the big ones will be to leave a review on iTunes and Stitcher Radio, because again, like I've mentioned before, ratings and reviews really do help spread the word for shows and podcasts and things like that. So we'll have all that information up as soon as possible. The link is not live, but just by the time that you hear this, it will be. And that does it for this episode of the Tech Informist. You can again send us feedback, contact@thetechinformist.com. Connect with us on Twitter, all the social media places. You can find me at Kevin Harvell on Twitter. You can find JJ at JJ Hammond Music. And we want to thank everybody for hopping in the chat room this afternoon and for listening and watching. We're getting consistent numbers on both viewers and audio listeners, so thank you so much for however you choose to consume the show. Tell your friends, and so we can help get these numbers up, be more attractive to sponsors. And if for some reason you have a company in mind, or you work for a company that might be interested in sponsoring, or you have a great service that you use, let us know so we can reach out and maybe bring them on as a sponsor that might for our target audience. We would love to talk with them. So thank you all. And from everyone here at the Tech Informist, consider yourself informed. And until next time, we're out.